welcome to Edinburgh. Hiya, Chris here from the Peer Project. Thank you so much for clicking on and watching this video. This is going to be my interview with Joe Tracini. And if you don't know Joe, well, you will. All right. Joe and I sit down for about an hour and we have this most amazing conversation about everything from mental health, from bipolar to Hollyoaks to his dad, who I didn't even know was his dad until about 2 weeks ago, but you'll find out more on the podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and then just enjoy the chat with Joe Tracini. I suppose the first thing I want to start with is being selfish. I don't want to start with that. I'll go somewhere else. I don't want to go right in and go, that big speech. Most fun moment 5 minutes ago. Let's go with the show first. Tell me about your show, 10 things I hate about me.
Yes.
Go for it.
It's something that I have been wanting to do. I've been wanting to do it for 20 years in some sort of form. I've wanted to come to the Fringe. But this specific show, I've been trying for 5 years. And it was the last thing that I did before lockdown was a work in progress to take this show up to Edinburgh, because I was the healthiest I've ever been, because I've had my personality disorder forever, and I gotten to a point where I knew that I was in a stable enough place to be able to start using the fact that I could do stand up as part of my talking about me brain. And then obviously everything went tits up, for want of a better phrase.
Don't worry about that. We're on the internet. You can swear as much as
I appreciate that. I'll still try new reserves. And then I just had the worst 2 years. And every time I tried to do it, I had a panic attack in front of an audience. It just went on for years.
wow.
And yeah, and I'm not very good at learning lessons. So I just changed nothing and just kept trying to walk on stage and do a show that I wasn't ready to do. And so it's taken a long time, but I stuck with it, and I'm here. So not only am I doing the show that I wanted to do 5 years ago, I've made it very much about how I am now, what the past 5 years have done to me. And the point of the show is to make everybody as comfortable as possible.
And how are you now?
I'm so much better than I have been, Chris. I got a lot worse before I got here. And I kept having to lower my bar on what a good day was to get through, because things were getting so bad, and I was waiting for me to feel normal again, because I hadn't felt normal before, really. So I think I had about 6 months in just before March 2020 where I felt hope. And I'm very, there was quite a long time where I was resentful about that. But now looking back on it, I understand that without the knowledge of how that felt, because I'd had it, I knew what I was looking for. And if I hadn't have felt that, I don't know if I would have made it, if I'm honest, through all of that.
So, I mean, you literally have no idea how similar you and I are in terms of our journeys when it comes to this sort of thing, because the kind of, and I'm sure my wife will tell you this as well, like maybe like the 6 months before lockdown,
Yeah.
is when I was at my healthiest as well, mentally healthy. I'll be honest, we were a lot more financially healthy at that point as well. I was a lot lighter than I am now. I was about 13 stone at that point. So
Right.
I was quite, and I'd went down from like super overweight, and then obviously COVID hit and ruined everything for everybody. So
Yeah.
the similarities there are like everything that you're telling me. I not only understand, but I'm feeling it as well, and I get it. You used the word normal there a couple of times. What's normal for you?
Yeah. This is a thing for it's interesting, I said, because I'm aware that I say that a lot. I address it in my show. And I think that what normal is for me is just keeping going. So whatever it is, I am forced to beat myself up about things. It's not a decision. So it's about coping with that. And it's about understanding whether I'm making it worse sometimes or not, and accepting the fact that part of my life for now is that I've got a part of my head that doesn't like me very much. So for me, what's normal is that, and accepting that. Because that's not that I haven't got hope that I hope I wake up one day and I just like myself. The most that I can ever do is keep trying to not cock everything up again. and I do every day. Some days I do better than others. Some days, but all I can ever do is not go backwards. So that's normal for me. It's just trying to be better, even if that just means making less mistakes than I used to. You know?
Other than you said that you've got this other part of your brain that doesn't like you very much, right?
Yeah.
But other than that part of your brain, why do you feel that you beat yourself up so much?
I think that because there's safety in what you know, even if what you know is kicking you in the nuts.
Yeah, okay.
And so I've practiced that more than anything else in my life. So it's inherent to me to do that. To see the worst in myself and the best in others. That's just how my brain works. And it's taking a very long time to undo it. I'm bloody trying, and I'm doing all right. You know, I am getting better at it. And the amount of time that I beat myself up is lessening. And you know, something that I always used to say before uh, my brain got a lot worse in the past few years was just wait a bit. But waiting was the thing that I did to stay alive, and it's still the thing that I do. And I would justify, if I the worst feelings when I was, thinking about suicide and stuff like that, I'd wait for a bit because I knew that it would go. And the reason the past few years have been so difficult is because it used to stay for a couple of hours or a couple of days. But I felt like that for years. I felt like that for years, and I was so tired. And so it was almost like I was still doing it. I was still waiting for a bit, but the bit went. And so I was like that. I didn't know what I was waiting for anymore. I thought maybe I'm waiting just to feel like this forever. And I knew that I wouldn't be able to live like that, but I knew that I had to. So it was terrifying.
Did you Okay,
We're not on air anymore.
yeah, that's fine. So, how did you cope with that? Like, how did you? I mean, obviously, just waiting's one thing, and it's a thing about that. For some reason, it's a man thing. I don't know why. We're very impatient. You know,
Human thing. I think it's a human.
how did you cope? Like when you were waiting. Like, yeah, what did you do? What was your coping mechanisms and things like that?
I think again, luckily, I'd done so many years of rehabs and therapy and stuff, when I could afford it. So like and I'd worked hard in them. So I think that I always knew all of those things. It did get harder, but I think that time is a thing, So I think I coped by constantly being aware of the fact, one, I've put an awful lot of effort into staying alive. So even though my life is hard, there's nothing else going on. So like that, and to lose that, I mean, I'm very lucky that I don't drink and I don't do drugs anymore, because again, that's something to lose. If I'd be dead if I drunk, if I was drinking or something like that, I just wouldn't be here. So great that I don't do that anymore. But I think that, yeah, my awareness of the fact that I've worked too hard to die on my own.
Yeah.
Like that's not on. And also the fact that I never ever forget that people care about me more than I do. That's something that I did not know that when I met my girlfriend Holly, I I was aware that I loved my family, but I didn't appreciate how much I could love something else until I met her. And I think understanding that made me love my family more, and just other people in general. I cared about other people more since understanding how it really felt to care about somebody else more than yourself. So knowing that and remembering that uh, it's uh, it's other people that would lose me.
I'm with you.
I will never lose me. If I go, that I'm gone. That's it. And I understand why some people can't be here anymore. I obviously I get it, but that's the thing, that on my worst days and for all of that time, there were weeks that I would just constantly be saying, "Mum, mum, mum," on a loop in my head, and like that's exhausting, because that was the only thing that was, so that was a very long, dark answer to your question, Chris. But yeah, so but hopefully
Long, dark, but truthful.
yeah,
And that's what's important. And I think, like, certainly from the past few minutes of speaking to you, there's a lot of comfort in self-acceptance for you.
yeah,
This is not necessarily what's wrong with you or anything like this is who you are. And yeah, so there's a lot of self-acceptance in your recovery as well. And that kind of takes me over nicely to the monologue at the panto. Yeah, that went crazy viral.
Yes.
Now, speaking of air, you'd said that was your show. You wrote that show.
I wrote that
So
show.
you wrote that monologue then as well. Well, first of all, let's just talk about the show in general. The panto.
Yeah,
Panto.
panto.
How did it all go? How was the run and all that?
It was great though. It was lovely. I mean, it was Sleeping Beauty, and it was the first panto. I've been doing panto for 30 years, and I love it. But it's the first panto I'd written, and it was Sleeping Beauty. So sort of predominantly, my main problem was the fact that it's a show about a girl, and the girl is asleep for the entire second half, and I didn't think that was on. So I sort of changed it a little bit, and I made the story about the fairy's first day as a fairy, and we went back in time to his first day at school, and in the second half, rather than her just being asleep, we went into her dreams and we saw what she was dreaming about.
That is amazing.
So that was fun, and because I do it in Norwich, and Norwich are they are a fantastic theatre, and they look after me in every.
That's one of the groups that do the big, like, every year there's a big panto, isn't it?
Oh, it's one of the best pantos in the country. Yeah, absolutely. Because also they Norwich care about it. There are a lot of places that don't anymore. It's just a money-making exercise, or just a tradition that they don't respect. Everybody in the building in Norwich takes care of it, and I've got the best job in the world. I absolutely adore it. And they let me put mental health. I talk about that in my show as well. Is the fact that they let me talk about mental health. I mean, I don't do a lectures and feel like that, but I always try to get it in there somewhere. And that year, yeah, they let me write that poem and do that every day, which is not necessarily something that people were anticipating when they came to see a panto. And it was it was one of those things for me as well, is, because I truly meant it, and I was going through a hard time that year. So I used to I remember it's the first time sort of performing that I used to stand in the wings before I went on and not think about a word I was about to say. I literally I put my head up, I breathe as slowly as I could, and I just walk out, just let it come out. And I am very proud of it. Look, I'm very proud of what I wrote, and I'm not that I've watched it back. I haven't, but I know not since. No, I had a couple of days, Chris. I am not a good person to be editing and advising on whether or not something I've done is good, because the other bit of my brain is always louder than the bit that's correct. But it's one of those things that I am very proud of, and people still every day I get people messaging me all these years later, which is just lovely. It really is. People have had things that I said in that poem tattooed on them, which is mental.
I mean, how does that make you feel?
Oh, that lovely. Genuinely lovely. Oh yeah, I mean, again, like mental. Because I've said some weird shit in the past as well. So I'm glad out of everything that my back catalogue of words.
Somebody's got something strange tattooed on their bum somewhere.
Absolutely, yeah, because I've said some awful shit. But moving on.
Was there any? I know you said they let you put that in, but was there any kind of pushback at the point where you're just like, no, we trust you?
They trust me and work with me. It's the most beautiful collaborative relationship, professionally and personally, that I have with Norwich. I'm very, very lucky that they look after me as much as they do.
And obviously we know, and we'll talk about the online reaction shortly, but what was it like in the room as you were doing? And obviously I know you did this more than once, and we only seen one clip of it. Every day, every night when you performed that or you gave that speech, what was it? What was the feeling like in the room as you were?
It was always the same. Everybody listened. Which is kind of rare in a which it was by design, and I'd hoped for it. But obviously you've got different audiences, and so when you've got the kids in, and it's a big theatre, it's 1,300 seats. So sometimes at 10:30 in the morning, they've just been screaming for 2 hours. You're like, oh, I'm asking a lot of you. And also there was a line in it, and I said, life behind darkness, life is always hiding lights. And I got them to bring the house lights up, and I said that so I could see them. That was a risk. That again, it was one of those moments that every day I did think, why have you done this? Why have you looked people in the eye? But no, they were always. Sometimes I think people were shocked because they weren't necessarily expecting it, but it was always a wonderful reaction. And I was very honest with it as well, because sometimes if I was having a particularly bad day, I'd not start to not be able to get through it, or I get it wrong or something like that. And I would just say to the audience, I'm having a bad day, sorry. And I'd start again a few times. So yeah, it was something that was always very organic. And our MD James was on the piano as well, and he had an accompaniment that we'd sort of developed together. And he was always doing it live with me, so I never felt like I was doing it on my own. He was always underneath there. So yeah, it was something that was, but thankfully, always went the same way, which was people always listened. And yeah, I've always felt that with anything, particularly panto, is people remember a good bit, a bad bit, and whatever you do at the end.
Yeah.
So I always make sure whatever I do at the end is something that's worthwhile.
Love it. And the online reaction, I mean, the worldwide reaction, I guess, to it was like it was like an outpouring of positivity and love. It's certainly what I see on my side of it.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It stuck with me. It stuck with me so much that I've been reaching at you, trying to make this happen for a while. We're here. We've got it done.
So pleased you're here.
I'm done this. But yeah, I am mega pleased that we're here as well. How did you have any intention of that going out and kind of being like, you understand what I'm saying? You know, like said, I'm going to put that online. That could go viral, or was it just a case of I just want to do it if it helps one person?
Yeah, I mean, I think if it helps one person thing is not necessarily anything that I ever started to do, and it's it is, but the one person is me, right? That's the only person that I can ever really help. And people say nice things to me about how their life has been bad, and they quite often say that I've had something to do with that, which is lovely, and I know that they mean it. But if anybody's helped them, it's them. Do you know what I mean? Just like I can only help me. I'm just doing it publicly. But I wasn't able to do it. I'd gotten, it was such a big part of my support system was talking publicly about, but when we got to 2020, when I started to get iller, I'm not sure if that's a word, but when, you know what I mean? I started to feel like a hypocrite because I couldn't go on. And also because I was feeling so much darker. I was like, I just didn't feel like the world sort of overtook me into the fact that everybody was just, we'd been through this massive group trauma. It hit me later than everybody else. They started skipping about like it was just Tuesday, and then my world shrunk massively. And I kept myself in lockdown for years. And I think that when I stopped being able to post online, it really made my life a lot worse. So when I did something like the poem, I was doing it every day for me. I knew other people were getting something out of it. And then I had it filmed on the last night, but I still sat on it for a week. Couldn't watch it. And then eventually when I did, and it was Holly, Holly said, why have you not put it on? And I said, I don't know. She said, you need to do it because it's good. And the wonderful thing about Holly, well, one of them, there's a list, is that she understands that what I don't need in my life is sympathy. So it's not, she understands that I don't say, I don't know how, I don't think this is, if I've done a really good thing and I say, I don't think this is very good, she understands that I'm not saying that because I want attention. I'm saying it because I mean it.
Yeah.
And she knows that deep down I know that I'm wrong. So all she says is, you're wrong. Which is why I always need a second opinion, Chris. So I listened to her and I put it out. So no, at no point would I ever do that, which is why I find it difficult being at somewhere like the Fringe.
Yeah.
When I've got a show to promote, I didn't get into this business because I'm good at marketing, especially not when what I'm trying to market is me.
Well, that's funny you say that, right? Because I've spoken to hundreds of acts over the past couple of weeks, and the common thread is nobody's out there just flying, just handing out flyers and things. They're not selling a show; they are selling themselves. And then if that part of your brain that doesn't like you is switched on, how can you go out there on the streets and sell yourself? It's like, I understand it, I get it. And then so does that then add in an even bigger fringe challenge for you now that you can't, or you can't, or want, you like, flyering doesn't seem to be an option for you?
Not an option, no. I mean, going to Tesco Express is only an option on Sundays.
Yeah.
So, like, I think it's one of those things that there's loads of stuff, Chris, that I was aware before I came up that this is something that could happen. Not many people could come to the show. You might not cope being around lots of people, but I had to keep them in a different part of my, in a different room of my head, because I wouldn't have got it. I wouldn't have come up. Because if I'd factored them in, I probably reasonably would have gone, this is probably a risk for you, health-wise. So don't do that. But I have to push myself, especially as I not intentionally, to a certain degree. I'd planned to do stand-up about it before I got really bad. But over the pandemic and the lockdowns, I spoke honestly about my brain whilst being a complete tit dancing around the garden with gooch out. I did both of those things because I wanted to. But my career became intrinsically linked with my illness. And when those two merged and then I got really ill, it's about trying to, I couldn't find the beginning of my illness and the end of my career and the start of anything else. So I think that, like, part of like me being here and doing this now is, trying to separate us again and just being somewhere and being okay for a while, because I'm here because I need to do this. I got to a point, where I was awful, but I looked at my life at the beginning of the year and I was like, right, what are you going to do? Because I can't go anywhere. That's how I was like, if I was anybody else, I would have just called it a day at the beginning of this year, because I couldn't do last year again. And I didn't know what else to do. So I looked at what I had. And the fact is I couldn't put any barriers in my own way to not getting up here. And if I considered flyering or people not coming or any of those things, I wouldn't have got here. And if I didn't come here, then I don't know what I would have done, because I've got nothing else on, Chris. So, that's irrespective of the risks and the difficulties. I'm here because I want and need to be.
Good. And that's like so important. One thing that I've found out about Edinburgh since I've been here is that, because I live in Glasgow, right?
Yeah.
Is that there is a right world of acceptance. You can be you in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. And I love that. And I think that maybe that's something that could maybe stick with you as well, that you could be you up here and it's fine.
This is it. For sure. And I think that helps. I think, but part of my life getting better when I actually made a decision, before this past few years and stuff, was the fact that I did make a conscious decision that I needed to be the same everywhere. And because I spent my life being different people in front of different people. And I knew that was keeping me in a place where I was hiding stuff and I didn't know who I was and all that sort of, sort of like wanky stuff that that people say, and it's true. So I made a concerted effort to make sure I was the same person wherever I went. So I tried to treat everywhere like Edinburgh. And it's just that I did feel that this was a place that I could come and do a show about it and nobody would judge me for that, which I thankfully have found out that I'm correct about. They have you. And it's nice to see other people as well, because I thought I'd be the most mental person here. That's not the case.
No, not at all. You fly under the radar, right? That's the way is that. Oh no. Talking about Hollyoaks, I want to ask you a bit about Hollyoaks. My mum said to me specifically, you need to let him know that I'm a massive fan of his. So that's it. So mum, I've done it. Right, it's done.
But sorry, not my mum. What's your mum?
Right. Here's the difficult thing with my mum's name. Right. Her name's Rachel. But if you say her name's Rachel, she say, "Don't call me Rachel. People think I'm a snob."
Right.
And then I say, "Well, what about Ray then?" She went, "No, don't call me Ray. People think I'm common." So I can't. There's nowhere in there. Rach. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Rach.
Hi, Rach. I enjoyed that. She's gonna hate that. But yeah. And we were driving in here today, right? And then we drove past this church, and I said to Lisa, I was like, "Oh my god, I didn't realize it. Joe and I had this in common as well. I auditioned for Hollyoaks, right, in this city.
Really?
And I'm talking, I was in high school at the time, so you're talking maybe 25 odd years ago, when they held these open auditions. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, no, I remember.
They held these open auditions. It was queued down the Royal Mile. It was before the X Factor and any of that sort of stuff. It was the first time this was done. Waited for hours in the blistering sun, all the way up until we got up to in front of a table, and it was a case of, if you were told to go that way, you were through to the next round. If you were told to go that way, that's the X.
That's rough.
Yeah, and it was purely based on how you looked.
Right.
and you walked right up to the desk, and the woman went,
Right.
"That was it," and that was it. I was out the door.
How long did you queue for?
Oh, it was like 5 hours.
I mean, well, what a day.
I know that was like the late 90s, early 2000s. So these sort of things weren't considered at the time. So the right, don't come for me. Um, to how was that whole experience being in Hollyoaks for you then? Like, what was the yeah?
Just that they were amazing for me. Oh, I was in a weird point in my life because I've been a secret drug addict for quite a while, just before I got up there.
Right.
So I sort of went through some of the worst, but then also some of the best of times in my life. But when I mean, when I got it, the casting director was a man called Rick Laxton, who's a lovely man. And he had seen me in a sitcom that I was doing on the BBC, and he asked me to go to a closed group audition, and he said, there's not a part for you, so I'm sorry, but we really like you. And I went, oh, it's okay. And then they phoned back 2 weeks later and said, we'd like to offer you a contract, but we don't know what for yet. So
want you.
So so they signed me on. They signed me on to a 6-month contract, and I did nothing for 4 months because they didn't know where to put me. But yeah, I was the first person they ever wrote a character for. So I joined a family that had been there for a little while, and it was a lovely thing, but they also never knew what to do with me. So it was an interesting few years that I had some very nice times. I've made some very, very good friends there as well. Because my friends have been thin on the ground on and off through my life, and I've got some very close ones that mean a lot to me that I met there. So yeah, as much as I went through an awful lot, I took a lot away from it as well. And yeah.
Can I ask you about your sobriety?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Because it's one thing that, and I'll be honest with you, I still go through it sometimes. With I like to drink beers at night. That's my thing, right? And there's a certain point in that where I'm going to get really deep with you now, right?
Yeah.
Where nothing hurts anymore when you're at that certain point.
Yeah.
But how? Because I know from what you've been going through that your mind hurts a lot all the time. How can you then go from having that almost cure to the pain,
Yeah.
to then saying, no, I can't do that. This is not healthy for me. All the negatives that come with it, and believe me, I know there are.
Yeah.
How did you do it mentally? How did you do that when your head's still saying,
I think do it.
you suck?
Yeah, God. Well, I think it's difficult. I think for me, it's like, because I didn't. I mean, I did obviously. If you you got a drink or a drug problem, the only solution offered is recovery in a sort of in a group setting, which obviously I tried, and that saves people's lives, and it's a beautiful thing. But it was not for me. It was never for me. And that was a problem because there's nothing else on the table really. Which is why when I was diagnosed with BPD, I was like, symptom of that, great, that helped my life. But I think that it's about taking responsibility for yourself. I think, my issues are not my fault, but they are my problem. And I think accepting that is really important. And luckily I take after my mum in the sense of if there is an issue, I will take responsibility for it. I'd much rather go, oh, sorry, I did that, than go, that person did that. And in my experience, 80% of people that went into rehab that with me would blame somebody else for where they were in life, which might be true. It might be somebody else's fault, but the fact is they're not here.
Yeah.
You're there. And the very difficult thing I always found, and again, I did 3 rehabs, I've relapsed and, for years and years and years. But it gets to a point where when you're that bad, if you've got a drink or a drug problem where you're going to die at some point, it's just down to you. And it's to whether or not you can get through that initial phase, which could be a week, it could be years, of understanding the fact that if you don't do something for you, you're going to die. And it's how much do you care about that? And I think that luckily I was able to keep going. It's time, Chris. Certainly for me, is how long and how much do you want to through this point in your life and this feeling, because it's hard. It's again to kick you in that situation. So it's like you're so used to hurting yourself and coping with your whatever it is that you're hurting with by being numb. It's always going to feel safer to do that, and it's scarier to go into a situation where you're like, oh, if I take responsibility for this, I don't know how I can cope with that. But the fact is, drinking was a survival mechanism for me, and I hadn't died yet. So you're like, well, I might die quicker going the other way, and and certainly on this side of it, you know, I've got, you know, I'm nearly 13 years clean and 10 years sober, and that time means something to me. It's a thing, you know, and knowing that I've got that, I will never lose that. You know, there's not many things that I can tell you confidently, but well, three of them are: I will never do drugs, I'll never drink, and I'm never going to kill myself.
And that's the next thing I was going to ask you is, where are you now in that headspace?
I mean, I've always got them three. So even on my worst days over the past 5 years, I've still always had them three. It's why I'm still here. But in my headspace now, I am where I was desperately hoping I would be able to get to, which is back to where I felt 5 years ago, but accepted the fact that I'm a different person. I was waiting for me to turn up again, and I was never going to come back because I hadn't left. I'm me. And I had to accept the fact that I've changed. The past few years have changed me. And as soon as I did that, and I realized, and I really had to let go of the fact that I just can't change anything else. There is so much awfulness happening in the world, and I was being suffocated by it. I was suffocating myself. I was drowning in all of the things going on in the world. And I realized that, like, I can't survive like that, and I have to.
Mhm.
I have to keep going. I can't go anywhere. So it's like, how do you deal with that? Rock bottom is a lonely place. There's nothing on. There's one door. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can't go through it. So you've got to go up, or you've got to stay there. So I stayed there. And you know, there were a lot of days that I dealt with badly, but I still got through them. You know, and so yeah, thankfully, at no point did I stop. Like, I kept going, even if keeping going meant sitting down from there. And thankfully, yeah, I'm better than I've been in years, Chris.
Hang out just a second. Where are we time wise? No, you. Like, just tell me the time. So. Okay, good. Yeah, carry on. Do that.
Oh, 6 minutes.
And I'll need to go back to remember where I was going with that. So you were talking about drugs, you're not going anywhere, and alright, don't worry about the sound. I can get all that out at the end. What was funny there was that when you started talking, and you won't be able to hear this on camera because I'm going to edit out the background noise.
Yeah.
But there's a stage maybe about 30 feet away from us that had the beginning of Queen playing, and as you were talking, it had the really emotional music just going in the background. It was like a proper underscore just to what you were telling. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Um, Oh yeah, online. That's what it was. You live a lot of your life online now. I see that you've got a very, very big following. Um, with online comes a lot of negativity as well, especially when you've got such a large following and a large presence on social media.
Yeah.
Given that you have got a part of your brain telling you, that it doesn't like you, how do you then cope with the online? Or do you have online negativity?
Yeah. I mean, I think I always have an understanding of the fact you've got to be a very special sort of wanker to have a go at me. Do you know what I mean? So I've always known that, and I think that I waited. When I first thought it was a good idea to publicly talk about my brain in 2015, and I didn't do it until 2017 because I'd had good ideas before and they weren't. So I was aware of the fact that, especially because I knew that I knew that if I was going to do that, I'd have to speak, honestly to me, which is not something that I'd seen anybody else do, because I think about taking my own life so much. So I knew that there's a responsibility that comes with that, which is that people will, well, not will, but have the potential to then put hopes on your success in surviving. So I understood that. So I waited until I knew that my good idea was.
Was a good idea.
And so I'd factored that in. It's also why I knew that I had to stop posting as much for when I got really bad. Not because I knew that I was going to go anywhere, just because I mean there were numerous reasons, Chris, but one of them was the fact that I knew I wasn't well enough to. I knew I wasn't well enough to speak about my experience in a positive way. Wait, because the things that I say are inherently negative. Desperately what I'm trying to do with my show is get across the fact that yes, the things that I'm talking about are very negative things, but it doesn't mean that you can't be positive about it. And which is just a weird thing to try and explain, because it's still not, it's not like live, laugh, love. It's not that sort of situation. But there's just I know that the way that I speak is I'm not good at a lot of things, but I think one of the things that I am good at is being able to talk about hard stuff easily. And so, does that answer your question?
I think so. I can't remember the end of the question. I forgot what the question was.
Yeah, and I let go as much as I can every now and then.
Like very, very rarely, some idiot says something that I think about for a while.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, actually, you know what? Maybe if I reply to you, I'll feel a little better. So I reply to the idiot and then I block them.
Yeah.
And then that generally,
I love that.
I see, but that happens once in a 5 years, I would say, Chris.
So, as a parent, one job of mine, well, this is the only job of mine, right, is to keep my children safe, and to keep my children fed, watered, healthy, all that sort
How
of stuff.
children?
Three girls.
Wow. How old?
Well, don't 14, 12. She's just turned 12, and 7.
Wow.
What about your view?
Busy house. Have I got children? No, can barely look after myself.
So okay, that's fine. I was going to bring you a copy of my book then, but no.
Oh no, I'll still have a look.
I'll send you a copy, 100%. I will put that in video. Just. Yeah, so one of my main job in terms of like being a dad is to protect my children, to make sure they're safe, make sure they're healthy, all that. When you started talking publicly about your mental issues, so to speak, was there any kind of pushback or anything from your parents, given the fact that even like your dad is very public, he's a public person?
Yeah.
Was there any worry about negativity, pushback, anything like that? Because mental illness can sometimes be linked to your upbringing.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. I think certainly, in the years that I've been talking about my brain, my relationship with my family has improved drastically. That wasn't a quick event. But neither was the fact that if we had strained relationships, that took years as well, so nothing happens, quickly. But I think that, certainly not with me. I think, but I can't speak for mum and dad and my sister or any of my family, but I do know that when you are as ill as I have been, it does get to a point where they're waiting for a phone call, whether, you're in hospital or you're dead. And I think that particularly when I was starting to really, really get bad when I was sober, because when I got sober, my life got worse because of the BPD when it was undiagnosed. So I think that as far as my family were concerned, if I'm here and something's helping, they'll find a way to deal with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that took a long time. It was quicker for mum. It took dad longer. I think in himself, he always supported me, but I think just to understand it, it took him a while. He's spoken about that. Again, it's difficult because me and my dad, we're in the same business, but we run it very differently. And that's something that dad has gotten on board with, which has been hard for him. But I didn't. Dad does take a lot of nowadays. He takes a lot of responsibility on for how I've been, which it's all of us. We've all had a part to play in our lives. And I think that he blames himself more than he should. But thankfully we've spoken about it and we've tried to draw a line on it and under it mutually. It's never healthy for a relationship for one person to draw a line under something when the other person has not. And I think that we've gone, okay, let's go.
So, and I'm not going to spend too much time talking about them, but I do have to bring it up. I grew up in the 90s. I grew up with your dad as my kind of entertainment. Your dad Michael Barrymore is the other one who I am desperate to interview, by the way. One day, I'm going to make it happen one day, right? But you like your dad, Michael Barrymore, all that, like the kind of 90s comic type thing. And if I'm being honest,
Yeah.
I knew who you were from your work before. I only found out that Joe Pasquale was your dad like 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Genuinely didn't know.
Yay.
And the only question that was going through my head the entire time is, did he ever sing you lullabies to sleep when you were a kid? And if he did, maybe that's why everything's went,
Yeah, no, I think that if dad had, dad's not the most self-aware person in the world sometimes, but I think he's aware of the fact that if he was to do that, it would wake me up.
Yeah.
Because nobody's napping. Do you know what I mean? My God. But no, but also like my life when I was growing up was split in between, like not being at work with dad and being at work with dad. And I think that that's one of those things that, I adored my dad growing up. I idolized him to the point of creepy. To the point, no, it's creepy. Alan Partridge, where he goes around to that bloke's house and the walls is just full of Alan Partridge.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my bedroom, but with my own father.
Okay, that is a bit.
Yeah, and nobody ever sort of went, Jojo, this is creepy as fuck. You need to take them down. Which didn't help. So but yeah, I think you probably saw my dad as much as I did when I was growing up, but I loved it when I was with him.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that it comes with being in this business as well, But no, he definitely didn't sing me to sleep, mainly because he was only ever there in the afternoon.
That's a very valid answer. Have you got any cool showbiz stories from when you were growing up? Anything that you can tell me?
Cool shit. Well, yeah, I think I was the novelty in around because I was like a little old man just walking around in a three-piece suit.
I can literally picture you like this, but shorter.
Yep, that's literally it. Yeah. Not much shorter. I've not made too much progress on that front, Chris. But it was no. I think that but again, I went to when Bradley's, Bradley's son Barney. I went to Barney's christening and I got my my arm stuck through a remember those wooden chairs for sticks. Got my arm stuck through one of those, and then Barry McGuigan released it for me.
Of all people.
Yeah, and then I choked on a melon ball. It was an awful afternoon.
That sounds like a memorable day, I think.
Is that the kind of thing?
Yeah, I'll take that. I will take that, 100%.
Right.
Right, your show's called 10 Things I Hate About Me.
Yeah.
Right? Tell me something you love about you.
Oh, that's a difficult question. I can tell you something that I'm proud of.
Yeah.
I'm proud of the fact that I'm still here. I'm proud of the fact that I'm not just still here. I'm proud of the fact that I've come and done this. I'm proud of the fact that I'm actually in Edinburgh doing this show because I could have given up on it a long time ago. It's objectively should have done, but I am proud of the fact that I've managed to get myself to a place where I'm doing the thing that I am more proud of than anything else I've ever done in my life. So I hope that I would be able to answer your question one day, because I can't lie to you. I can't pretend that I've got a list or options on that front. But again, part of my hope of having that one day is accepting the fact that it's not there now and it's not my fault. I have things to be proud of, and the more things to be proud of I have, the more chance I've got of liking me. And if I like me eventually, I might get to answer your question.
Understood.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. How can you turn that negativity, like, let's say the show's called 10 Things I Hate About Me.
Yeah.
There's a very strong word, hate.
So yeah.
How can you turn that into like a 1 hour performance stand-up comedy piece that people are going to leave hopefully with a smile on their face?
Because I've thought about it a lot.
Yeah, there we go.
And I think that again, I know what I'm good at, and it's a shorter list than the things that I'm bad at. And I think one of the things that I'm good at is I'm good at connecting people when I'm comfortable, connecting with people when I'm comfortable. Connecting people are not stupid. You know what I mean? That's one of the things that I'm good at, and I also I know that I can write funny things. So and also mental stuff's happened in my life. So I've just tried to put them all together. And also because I want to do something good with all of the bad. for me and other people, again, I've always fought against the notion of that I do it for other people. I used to hate that. I used to hate it when I would sit there when I was ill and I'd see people, on Lorraine, and they'd be going, "Oh, if it helps, just somebody else." I was like, "Well, why are you doing? Why do you care about me? You don't know me. Why are you trying to help me? Help you." And I've always fought against that, but I know that I know that this has it's got something that can help people. That's what I've made something that can, not just me. And I know that it needs to be something good, as in literally good, to counteract all of the bad that I'm talking about. And so I can't quite explain to you how I've managed to make it something that people will leave feeling joyous from. Uh, and I'm not going to lie to you, I wasn't entirely sure if it was going to go that way before I was doing it for people, because I knew that in my head how it felt. But thankfully, over the past 10 days, I have learned that I have managed to do that.
Has the show grown or changed or anything like that over the past 10 days? Has there been anything that has stood out that maybe hasn't worked, or something that you've thought off the cuff that you went, "Oh, that actually worked quite well. I'm keeping that," or how has it grown over the past 10 days since you've been here, or has it?
Well, I think the nature of this sort of performance in general, particularly when, you've not got a director and it's something that's this personal, is that it does adapt and things, but not really.
Okay.
Because also by its very nature is the whole thing I have intentionally constructed to be safe and comfortable for me and my audience. So I don't stray away from what I'm there to do, and that's part of the point. And I think that that's not to say that I don't relax and enjoy it and sort of take it as a new night every night, but more than ever in my life, I very much stick to what I've got. And again, I think it's why I knew in all the years that I was having the panic attacks and I just kept trying, and it couldn't come out. I knew that I had something worthwhile in me, and I knew that it was this. And I am actually quite proud of the fact that it hasn't changed that much since it's been. I've been, and again, if I've ever achieved anything, it's definitely not because I've done it on my own, and I've had a lot of help over the past few weeks to actually get it to where it is. I've not just been stood there doing it on my own for 3 weeks,
Yeah.
Norwich Theatre have been amazing in being able to support me in finding a way to make it the best that it can be. And the way that they've done that is by supporting me in whatever it is that I want to do, and yeah, so that is my answer.
I love that. There's a innate feeling, and I've heard this a couple of times from a few other acts as well, that they've they've struggled to get their audience to relax a wee bit. Yes, because, and essentially, I think in your show as well, you are giving the audience permission to laugh at something that you really shouldn't be laughing at, in a sense. How do you go over that hump?
I'm utterly honest with them. I'm utterly honest. At no point I wanted them and me to feel like at no point do I feel like I've just started doing this. If you're doing stand up, you're doing any sort of show, you're like, okay, well, I'm rehearsing now, and then I get to the place, and then this starts. I don't ever feel like that, and I don't want the audience to feel like that either. An audience come and see a show because they don't want to be looked at, and they want to watch something and feel like they're going to have a nice time, particularly if it's a comedy show. So I really bore that in mind. There's a tense rule when I was doing it, and the audience is my main priority.
Yes.
From when I'm out there, I'm my priority for every second I'm not on stage, and as soon as I get out there, it's making them comfortable that it's important to me. So I try to make them feel like the show hasn't started at any point. And again, I wasn't sure if that would pan out well, but feedback suggests it has.
And that was my next question: is how has the show been received so far?
Nobody said anything horrible, which is great. That I've been doing it for 2 weeks now, and people have just been nice, supportive, and if they hated it, they kept it to themselves. That's lovely because it helps.
That's where, and I'm going to say it frustrates me, and frustration is not the right word to use. However, there's you're getting all this lovely feedback,
Yeah.
and you're focusing on the one person who might not even exist.
Yeah.
That maybe has thought something negative.
Yeah.
I think why even now, when you're getting all this really good feedback and you're here and you're on this pedestal, but you're working your way back up.
Yeah.
Why?
I think because I have to expect everything, because if something surprises me, nothing's ever going to hurt me more than I can. So I have to expect what I know. And if I don't factor things in, I might be shocked by it. So I'm self-deprecating and I make jokes about things, but generally I'm making jokes about things that are a genuine risk. And the fact is, if I forget that people can be horrible and somebody might say something horrible to me, I won't factor in then I'll start just going, oh, everything's fine. I think that's a large problem with the world, is everybody's in echo chambers of whatever it is that they believe or think. And then when something comes against that, you're shocked by it, and then you sort of lash out. The only person I'm going to lash out and hurt is me. So I have to factor in the options, and I think that's why. So I factor in the fact that there's negativity and I might get it back, just so that I'm prepared for it.
Right. You have no idea how much I get that. Yeah. Oh my God. Actually, you factor in what could go wrong, so you're prepared for it, just in case. But no,
I'm not saying that this is healthy. It's not, because it can escalate drastically quickly. But I do try it now. I'm feeling a lot better on the most part. Again, I'm saying I had an awful couple of days this week. I had 3 days where I was terrible, and it got worse every day. But again, with the waiting, I waited, and it went quicker than it did last time, thankfully. But again, because I wasn't surprised by it. I have not been fooled this year by myself to go, oh, I'm feeling better. This is it. I'm gonna skip to success. I'm aware that it's coming back. Hopefully it won't. There's always that part of me that's like, oh, it's in a month now. I just did all right. Fingers crossed. I'll open the door a little bit more. But then, at least I was prepared.
And what are you doing to kind of look after yourself here? Have you got support? I know you've got the guys there.
Oh
Have you got a support network with you? Are you doing? I know you said earlier about you don't really like to look after yourself in that sense, but are you keeping yourself safe? I guess.
Absolutely, always. And I think that I know what I'm up here for a reason. And it's not going out and seeing people. I am, but I'm factoring in the fact that there you go. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad we're here. But I mean, I'm up here for the show. That's why I came here. From a business point of view and a personal point of view, that's why I'm here. So I have to look after my voice to be able to do it every night. I have to look after my head to be able to emote every night, because I'm not. It's not just political material. It's something that it's a lot to do for an hour. So I'm factoring that in. That's always my priority, and I'm enjoying the fact that even though I'm not planning ahead what to do in all the days, the fact that planning ahead is something that is an option to me, because it's not been for the past few years. To be able to go, wow, what shall I do next Wednesday, has not been worth looking that far ahead. So just the fact that I know that I can and want to is enough for me to go, yeah, you're doing all right. Just go to bed.
Love this. What's next? Speaking of planning ahead,
Yeah.
what's next?
You know what? I don't know, and I'm all right with that. I know that I'm feeling better than I have been. I'm doing panto. I'm writing it again, which is great. And I think that hopefully I'll keep doing this. I'm enjoying doing this, and I'm not sure, but hopefully something.
It's funny you talk about panto, and I'm just totally going to drop this in here because, you know yourself. You don't make things happen for yourself if you don't ask. I'm not asking actually. I'm just letting you know this. Last year, I was asked to write a couple of songs for a panto, right? And they were all right, weren't they? They were too good. The big opening number it was, and the song for the Seven Dwarfs is what that I ended up writing. They actually turned out quite well. And over the past year, I've been writing a lot more music, and I would love to write some more panto music. It's just, I said to you off air, like I'm here with my career, and there's all this stuff that I know that I'm good at.
Yeah.
But everybody that needs to know that I'm good at it are over the other side of the wall. And this is only like the past couple of years. I've got ADHD and autism, and I only got medicated last year for the first time. And as soon
Same as your life.
listen, right, I wrote a musical in a week, like a full music, 7 songs, wrote the whole thing, orchestrated it, all that.
Amazing.
And I want to do more of it. But I didn't know. I know I could play. I know I can do music. Didn't know I could write so well. But then got that medication. My brain went, oh, hang on, here's a wee bit you've been hiding somewhere.
It's amazing that it can turn your life upside down in a good way.
Yeah,
Like
100%. So if you ever need a song written for a musical, for a panto, I know you've got your musical director. I don't know that.
yeah, no, but I will bear that in mind, Chris. Absolutely.
Because we are now best friends.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so I've got again video evidence. Again, we are best friends.
Absolutely.
Happy.
Yeah, Rachel's in it and everything.
Yep, she's gonna love that. Okay, final thing. Plug for the show. Where it is, when it is, how it is, why it is, where we can get tickets. All the important, boring admin details, and probably a good idea if you get right down the barrel if you can.
It's called 10 Things I Hate About Me. It's on at 8:25 in Ermine Bristow Square. It's an underbelly venue. I'm doing it until the 24th of August. And please come, because if you don't, it's just me doing it and I am sad.
I mean, you can't get any better than that. Thank you. Thank you for coming and doing this. It's been amazing. I love it's. I built this up so much in my head because been wanting to do it for such a long time. I was worried that it wasn't going to go as well as I hoped.
I've had a lovely time.
Thank you. I love it. I love talking to people. That's what I always say. Like when I interview folk, it's like,
Yes.
I don't think it's an interview. It's just how we conversation. No, it's great deep. I love it. But yeah, no, I appreciate it. Well, genuinely, thank you so much.
You've been lovely, Chris. Thank you for having me.
Anything that you're doing after this, if we ever do, and we would like catch up again in the future and do more and go like, oh, right, you know, and I will. Behave yourself now. It's still recording. You behave yourself.
I covered your mum's watching.
That's true.
Thank you.
No, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. Like honestly, like literally since I seen that panto video, that stuck with me as well. It's like a little bit of self acceptance and stuff as well. Like, and I'm still growing a bit with it. Like I was saying to Lucy on the way in, I love bright colours. I'm a very bright person, but living in the East End of Glasgow, you've not really meant to do that, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, and then coming through here and being able to have my purple beard and my bright tattoos and you know, and nobody even yeah, and I love it.
Yeah.
So I'm still trying to find me, but that panto video stuck with me from the moment I seen it. And without sounding as if I'm trying to blow smoke or anything like that, I thank you for that. Because you wrote that, you performed it, and it was beautiful, so thank you.
Thanks. No, it's nice. It means a lot to me that it meant something to you. It really does. Thank you. Do you hug people?
Have you not read my t-shirt?
I haven't. I will interview you for hugs and clouts. Fantastic. And I'm not going to punch her, so come in.
Really love it. That's his best friends there, whatever. So there you have it. That was my chat with the amazing Joe Tracini, and I really would encourage you to go and watch his show, to catch up on his social media. He really, really is a force to be reckoned with, and I cannot wait to chat to him again. Irrefutable evidence, we are now best friends. Let's just put that out there. Don't forget to like, subscribe to this channel, and show your support in any way possible. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. See ya!